Welcome to Simply Stylish DIY, where we take ordinary to extraordinary.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Simply Stylish DIY. Today's DIYs are so adorable, I can't wait to share them with you. First up, we'll be taking a simple Dollar Tree crystal candle holder and transforming it into a charming centerpiece as we Mod Podge spring floral fabric to a Dollar Tree foam egg. Then we'll be adding some beautiful embellishments and a bow. Next, we will be moving right along to create the cutest Jute bunny. We will use the same fabric as we did in the first DIY for its ears, and then we'll top it off with some lace and a flower crown. Then we'll dress it up another notch by painting a distressed canvas to add it to for display. These two pieces look high-end, but are budget-friendly and complement each other so well, giving you two new Easter and spring decor pieces for your home or for gift giving. Without further ado, let's get to crafting.
DIY number 1, Dollar Tree crystal candlestick with spring fabric wrapped egg. Okay, the supplies you will need is a crystal candlestick from Dollar Tree, one of the foam eggs from Dollar Tree. I also picked up a pack of felt flowers in the Valentine stuff at Dollar Tree. You will need some material, a roll of ribbon, and some greenery and flowers. We're going to start this DIY with some material. I picked this up at Walmart. Dollar Tree does have some spring material. You can pick up just a solid color, anything that you think would look good with this. We're just going to take it and Mod Podge it to the foam egg. You won't need a whole lot of material at all for this DIY or the next one because we're going to use the same material. This just came in a little bundle of a yard, so I'm just going to cut it down here. Okay, once you get your material opened up, fold it over. We're going to cut it in about a 3.5 inch long strip, and then we're going to cut that down further into some smaller squares. We won't be using all of them. You can use them in another DIY. Like I said, you'll be using more of this in the next DIY, but we will not be using the squares again. We're just going to have enough so we can cover our egg. You don't have to worry about when you cut them into individual squares. They'll be the same size, just randomly cut pieces, because we're going to overlay them on top of each other. Okay, next we're going to get some Mod Podge and a sponge brush. I had gloss on hand. You could use gloss or matte. Either one will be perfectly fine for this. Okay, we're going to put some Mod Podge on our sponge brush. We're going to work in sections, so we're going to cover about 1/3 of the egg with the Mod Podge. Make sure it's good and wet with it, and then we're going to pick up one of the squares and work it on. Grab one of the squares that you had cut out earlier. We're going to lay it over the wet Mod Podge. Take your fingers and press it out fairly flat, working out all the bubbles and little imperfections. It does not have to be perfect by no means, because we're going to overlap a next layer in just a second, but just make sure that you don't have any pieces that are just sticking straight up here. After you have it laid down fairly flat, you can see here I have some bubbles and it's still sticking up the top. We're going to get some more Mod Podge on our sponge brush, go over the top of the material now. That will seal it better and it will be a whole lot more wet, so you can rub your fingers over it and smooth it down. Continue this around the entire egg, working in sections of the thirds. Put the Mod Podge on, put your piece of material over it, put some more Mod Podge on your sponge brush, and then take your hand and smooth out all the wrinkles. Once you have your egg completely covered, look over it, make sure you don't have any bare spots. If you do, just put another piece of material on and repeat the same steps that you did to cover it in the first place. Make sure it's completely covered over on the outside with your Mod Podge so it has a seal, and we're going to sit it here on this plate to let it dry. Next, we're going to make just a simple bow with only 2 loops, because we're going to put a lot of decorations around it and inside of it. Go ahead and tie off your little 2-loop bow with your pipe cleaner, and then we're going to cut the tips off of the back of the pipe cleaner so it's going to be flat when we're going to stick it onto the candlestick. Fluff your loops out just a little bit and go ahead and dovetail your ends to make them even. Okay, I found these felt flowers in the Valentine's section at Dollar Tree. In this particular pack there was 2 pink and 2 purple. They do have a pack of all red. I chose one of the pink ones. We're going to get it out and cut the back of the leaves off, because we don't need that where our bow already has the green. And then we're going to put it in the center of our bow for embellishment. We're going to go ahead and hot glue our felt flower onto the center of the bow. while you're doing that and you're holding it, make sure that your loops are opened up and positioned the way you want them. We're going to take a piece of the ribbon that we made the bow with, cut it into about a 4.5-inch section. We're going to take it and put it around the candlestick after we fold it over, just so it has something to stick the bow to and the flower embellishments. Take the strip, put you a line of hot glue, fold it over, and right under the edge of the candlestick, we're going to hot glue that on, and then that is where we are going to attach our bow and our embellishments. Plus, it just gives it a finished look all the way around. Go ahead and put some hot glue on the back of your bow, and we're going to attach that to the ribbon that we just wrapped around the top of the candlestick. Hold it until it dries. I picked up this greenery. I think I got it at Joann's. Dollar Tree does have greenery now for spring that is the plastic green and lots of different colors, just like this. So we're going to take a couple of little sprigs off, hot glue the ends, and stick them in there behind the bow. Repeat the same thing for the other side, holding each piece until they are set. I got some lavender sprigs at Walmart. I just cut off some of the little bitty top pieces, and we're going to stick them in sporadically with the greenery and pink behind the bow also. Now that your egg has sit on the plate and dried, check and make sure that it is completely covered once more and that nothing's coming loose. You're going to go ahead and put a whole lot of hot glue there around the edge of the top of your candlestick, and then we're going to set the egg on top of that and hold it until it adheres. Okay, I held the candlestick up and looked at it and decided that it needed some more sprigs here in the front behind the bow. So I cut a few of the greenery and pink pieces, tucked them in with some hot glue, took another piece of the lavender and stuck it here in the middle behind the flower, and it all looks great. Okay, here's your finished decor piece. I hope you will enjoy making it. We're going to use the same material in the next DIY, so you'll have both pieces that you can set out together. DIY number 2, adorable jute bunny with spring fabric ears on a distressed painted canvas. Okay, this is a fun and simple DIY. You are going to need the same material that we used in our last DIY, a piece of lace ribbon. I picked this up at Dollar Tree, and a roll of jute. Okay, for the next step, you can use the inside of a paper plate, which I did because I had this one on hand. You can also use a wood round, anything that's round that you can put your jute to for the back of your base. That's all you need for this project. So I cut out the center of the paper plate. A piece of foam board cut in a circle would work well here too. Like I said, you could use wood or cardboard, anything just to make it into a circle, make it the size that you want it to be. If you're going to put it on a 8x10 canvas, just make sure that it's going to fit. You're going to take a piece of the jute, and we're going to start that in the center, glue down the end. After you have that end piece glued down in the center, we're just going to take the jute and run it into a spiral and make loops. You need to put a dab of hot glue with every loop. I tried to not let it get on top of the jute, just keep it on the plate or wood or whatever you're using, and that way it'll stick to that and it won't get bunched up and get on top of the design. Okay, when you run out of circle, we're going to go ahead and glue it the last piece down, and then we were going to take an X-Acto knife, cut the excess part of the paper plate off. If you put it on foam board, if you did this on wood and you started in the center, that will be fine. You won't have to do this step to cut off the excess. I'm just trimming off a few of the excess pieces that's on the jute just to make sure that it's not stringy. Okay, now we're going to make some bunny ears on a piece of foam board. We're going to just freehand the size that you want. I decided to make them a little bit big because I wanted my material to show up. So freehand the bunny ears, and then we're going to take that one, cut it out with our X-Acto knife, lay it on top of the foam board, trace that side so they'll be the exact same size or almost, and then we're going to cut that one out also. Make sure if you are using an X-Acto knife to have a self-healing mat behind it so you're not cutting your surfaces underneath. I'm going to take the same material that I used for the first DIY so I can sit the two pieces together so they coordinate. What you're going to do is lay your material out. If you have a design in your material, I'm looking here and trying to pick the flowers that I want to be on the ears. Go ahead and do that before you cut them out, and if it's solid you don't have to worry about that part. Once I decided how big of a piece of material I was going to need, I went ahead and cut out that rectangle. Okay, we're going to put some hot glue on the foam bunny ears. Then we're going to lay the piece of material on top of that. Take your fingers once the glue is able to be touched and put it over top of it and smooth out any bubbles that you may have or wrinkles. We're going to do the same thing for the other bunny ear. I did not cut the excess off yet. You can do that in just a few minutes. I'm going to use the X-Acto knife and the mat again just to cut it off smooth. You could probably use a pair of scissors and just cut it because we're going to put the jute around the outside and part of the inside of the ear, so that's going to cover up any kind of imperfections that you're going to have, so you don't have to be that careful with it. Next, we're going to take our roll of jute. We're going to cut 4 pieces into about 11.5 to 12-inch strips so we can finish our ears. Okay, we're going to take our jute and put it onto our ears. We're going to come up from the base of the ear just a little bit because that's the part that we're going to use to attach it to the head. So we're going to take about half of the ear and put some hot glue just on the main edge, and then we're going to take that piece of jute and cover that hot glue while you're making sure that the material stays straight. It's really easy to push back down. If you have any ripples, just take your fingers and work it down. Okay, we did half of the side of the bunny ear. We're going to get up to the top, put a little bend into your jute for the top of the ear, and then come on back down the other side, working in sections, some hot glue, pushing it down and making sure your material stays straight. And till we get to the other end, make sure you don't go all the way to the end, just so we can attach that to the head. Okay, for your second piece of jute, we're going to take it and put it on the side just so it looks more finished, and we're going to cover up that piece of foam board. So we're just going to run our hot glue side by side with the other piece of jute. Instead of attaching it to that other piece, we're going to attach it to the actual piece of foam and cover that up. We're going to do the exact same thing for ear number 2. Just make sure that you leave that little piece at the bottom. Once you have both ears completed, we're going to attach it to the head. The part that you left there bare at the bottom, that's the part that you are going to put your hot glue, and then we're going to insert it underneath the round piece. So that part is going to attach to my paper plate. If you'd done it on wood, whatever you chose to put on your bottom, that part is going to go under it, so it looks like it is smooth and flush. Okay, I chose to put my bunny ears with a little bit of space between them because I want to make a flower crown, but you can put them side by side, let them touch, however you choose to do it to make them look good. I took a piece of lace ribbon that I got at the Dollar Tree. It's about 12 to 15 inches. I just wanted to have enough to work with. I'm just going to tie a bow, and we're going to use that to put on the bunny's neck. I cut the little ribbon tails at a diagonal, and then we're going to put a little dab of hot glue on the back of the bow and stick it to the bottom of the bunny. Okay, the next part, we're going to get a little pink flower bush, and we're just going to pop off a couple of the little heads, and we're going to use that to make a flower crown. Turn the little flower heads over and cut off the little tip of the little stem just so they will be more flat to push down when you create the crown, and also take a couple of the leaves because we're going to use those too. position the flowers however you want to. I laid these out like this, and then after you have them the way you want them, we're going to put some hot glue and adhere them to the bunny. I cut 4 little pieces of the lavender bush that I used in the first DIY, and just a little piece at the top off, and then I'm going to stick that in just to give it a pop of color since the material has some purple in it, and then this ties in the first DIY again with the second. Okay, we're going to take an 8x10 canvas frame. You can pick these up at Dollar Tree. This is one of the stretched canvases. I'm also going to use 4 split beads, and we're going to put those up in the corner just like they're going to be little buttons. I just took my chalk paint here and dabbed it on because I was running out. This is what I had left. I'm going to brush it onto my canvas and the little beads at the top, and also paint the sides, and then we're going to go from there. Okay, once that coat dries, I chose some more chalk paint in the color ivory. We're going to take a coarse bristled brush, and we're going to keep it dry. You don't want it to be wet whatsoever because we're going to dry brush some streaks onto it just so it gives it a distressed look, and we're also going to do some more distressing before we put our bunny on top. Dip your coarse bristle brush into the paint, and then if you have a paper towel handy or a rag, just dab it on it just to get some of the excess off, because you don't want big gobs on your canvas. You just want it to look like dry streaks. So once you dab off a little bit, you're just going to loosely brush it over. It really doesn't matter. This is just your work of art wherever you put it. Just paint it with your heart. Go over your little buttons also. You don't have to necessarily go in the middle too much because that's where your bunny is going to go, but I went ahead and painted it just because I was making my streaks. I picked up this Distress Oxide in the color Ground Espresso at Hobby Lobby. It just adds a little bit of distressing to your paintings or your art. So we're going to take another brush. I used a little bit smaller brush this time. Make sure that it's dry also. Dab it onto your stamp pad, and then we're going to go around on the little buttons now that you have, and that just brings out some color and dimension in those. Kind of makes them look dirty and aged. We're going to go around the edges of the canvas now, and then once you have the edges done, just run your dry brush with it dabbed into the stamp pad over your canvas, and that way you can do it as heavy or light as you want it, and age it just appropriately however you like it. Okay, once your canvas is dried, you are going to take some hot glue and put it on the back of your bunny's ears and head and adhere it to the canvas. Make sure that you do not cover up the 4 corner buttons. Just try to center it in the middle and hold it until it's dry. Okay, here's your finished product. I hope you enjoyed making this. It'll be so pretty to put on a shelf with your Easter and spring decor, or you could put a hanger on the back and hang it on a wall. It would be a great gift to give to someone for the Easter season. Okay, here are the 2 DIYs we made today together. I thought they were so cute where they coordinate, where we used the same material for both of them. It would be adorable if you made another candlestick so you could put on each side of the bunny. You could set it on a shelf or a table to enjoy all season for spring and Easter.
Thanks for crafting along with me today. I hope you enjoyed these adorable ways to take spring fabric and Dollar Tree supplies to make these handmade creations for your home. If you liked today's video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and leave me a comment down below to say hello and let me know your thoughts on today's DIYs. I'd love to hear from you. I'm looking forward to sharing more crafting adventures together. Until next time, happy crafting!
I enjoyed our time together. Thanks for watching. I linked another video here for more crafting inspiration. Be sure to check it out. Have a great day. Until next time, happy crafting!